Hello and welcome to Pitch Perfect. Today you're going to learn a step-by-step guide for creating the perfect pitch for your brand. So, who am I? Well, my name is Chanel Martin, but I'm also called the Pitch Queen. Why? Because I myself and my co-founders have pitched our way to raising over $500,000 in a variety of different ways, from crowdfunding campaigns to investors to business accelerator programs and pitch competitions. And also, we've pitched ourselves and gotten ourselves in several publications, such as the ones listed here: Black Enterprise, Bossip, The Real, Georgia Tech, Forbes, Business Insider, just to name a few. And I am also a contributor for Black Enterprise magazine online, and I get pitched to all the time by different PR people and other people like yourself in business. And so I've been doing that for 4 years, so I have a wide experience on actually pitching and what it takes to be pitched to. And I've also judged several pitch competitions. So I have two brands. Chanel E. Martin is my personal brand, and I also run a ministry called Blessed Prophets. And so what I do is I do trainings such as these, like that you're on right now, and I spread the word of God, and I show people how to build businesses God's way. So we use biblically based principles and guidance from the Holy Spirit, and also, natural real world experience to help you with your business and to help you meet your business goals. So, who exactly is this for? So there's a reason why you purchased this class, okay? Either you could be a product maker, so you have launched your own hair care line, or you've invented some new product. And I say hair care because I'm a hair care enthusiast, as I've helped co-found 2 hair care companies, or any other kind of gadget. Or you could possibly sell products. Let's say you have an online store. This is also amazing for service providers. So for those of you who are in marketing and public relations and you want to brush up on your pitching skills and get an inside look from a industry professional such as myself, or let's say you are a coach, or you are a hairstylist, or you're a barber, or you are a business consultant, or you even have your own lawn service. Also brands, if you're a personal brand and you're looking to market yourself online and get speaking engagements and share your knowledge and share the things that you've learned from your experience and get book speaking engagements, this is amazing for brands. Also, authors, have you recently authored a book, or are you in the process of writing a book, and you want to learn how to pitch your brand, how to pitch yourself to perhaps, get into bookstores, or pitch yourself to perhaps get more media and press, or pitch yourself just to create a pitch for yourself so that you can sell your book and speak directly to your target audience. Also, ministry leaders, let's say you're starting up a ministry and you're looking to connect and communicate with those who are called to you. So this pitching webinar is perfect for you, because we're going to go through what it takes to create an authentic, true brand story. Also, nonprofits and ministry leaders who are typically operate nonprofits, you're always looking for funding, right? And you're trying to raise money. And so these techniques can be used to raise funding for your business or your nonprofit. So how are you going to use this guide? So I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to go over the basic principles of creating a pitch. Now, you can use your discernment on whether or not you need certain pieces of the pitch, but this is going to be a thorough overview of what your pitch should contain. And you can either add or subtract as needed. So for example, if you are looking to create a 30-second elevator pitch, you wouldn't want to use all of the parts that we're going to talk about today. But if you're getting ready to put together an investor presentation, right, then you'll want to go a little bit deeper. So this is how you can use this guide, right? You can use this to create your brand story. So if you've taken my pitch for funding, media, and press webinar, then you understand exactly what a brand story and why it is important to your brand. And so what this webinar is going to do, we're going to go deeper, right, and give you a better understanding on how to create that brand story. Also for media pitches, when you're trying to convey a message and get it out to a larger audience, you might be interested in pitching to the media and pitching to online publications or even bloggers or even printed publications. But so this training is going to be a guide on how to effectively communicate your goals and who you are and what you are doing. And the same for sponsorship letters. Let's say you're reaching out to a business or a brand for your event or for, just a partner, and you're looking to raise extra funding or you're looking to secure vendors and sponsors for your event. So this guide is going to give you an outline on what exactly you need to put inside of your sponsorship letter and even your partnership letters. So you might have an opportunity where you think it might be great to partner with other businesses and brands. And so as you solicit different partnerships, mutually beneficial partnerships, you can use this guide as a way to effectively communicate who you are and what your goals are. And of course, I mentioned earlier, investor letters and investor presentations. This is going to be a basic outline, a good but basic outline that's going to help you to organize your thoughts and get the information across that you may need for to receive the funding. And of course, fundraising pitches, using this method has been one of the reasons why we've been so successful at raising funding, because we were able to effectively communicate who we are, what we're about, who we serve, and why you need to give us this money. And so when you have all of the pieces together, then you are able to effectively pitch your idea. All right, so let's talk about elevator pitch, right? An elevator pitch is going to be, a 15 to 30-second pitch. It's going to talk about who you are and what you do. And it's important that every single brand has an elevator pitch. Time after time, I've interacted with many brands, and you'll ask them, what exactly do they do? Or what do you do? And then you'll say, well, I do a whole bunch of stuff. I'm a da-da-da-da-da-da. And then you just leave that person confused. And that person might be a potential customer, or they might be a potential referral. And so you want to make sure that anytime you are speaking to someone about your brand or your business or your ministry or nonprofit, that you are able to speak clearly and effectively so that they can decide on whether or not they want to partner, network, and even buy from you. So we're going to start out with a basic elevator pitch, which is also can be used as your introduction into when you are creating your pitch. So very simple. All you're going to say is, hi, my name is Chanel, or whatever your name is. Then you're going to give your title. So who are you? What do you do? Then next you're going to talk about your company name and who you help, how you help your target customers do what, which is your solution, buy what, which is your product. So you might say something like, hi, my name is Chanel, and I am the CEO of Blessed Profits. Blessed Profits help small business owners learn and grow in their business using strategies from the Holy Spirit and real world practical solutions by books, trainings, and webinars. So you see how I covered each section? I talked about my name. I introduced myself with my name. Then I gave you my title, and then I gave you my title and then of what company. Also, I gave my company name, and I talked about who I help and who I'm targeting and what my solution is and what my actual product is. So you want to make sure that anytime you introduce yourself, at a bare minimum, you have this 30-second pitch memorized. So I'm getting ready to go into, I'm getting ready to go into the foundation of a good pitch. Pitch, investor letter, sponsorship letter, fundraising packet, partnership letter, you name it. You're going to need either all or most of these sections. And so the first thing that you're going to want to be able to identify. And let me pause a moment and say that it doesn't absolutely have to be in this order. This is the order that I like to present in. If you feel that that it's better for you to mix things around, feel free to do this. This template is just totally customizable. But as long as you are able to tell a really good story and flow from point to point, that's all that really matters. And one thing you'll realize is that even as we express the different pieces of the pitch and what you are supposed to be saying in each section, you'll realize that we're actually telling a story and that it builds up until it gets to the ask and what you're asking for. And so when you're able to take people on a journey, then number one, they're probably not going to be bored reading whatever it is that you've presented to them, whether it's your presentation deck or even listening to you, whether or not you are standing in front of a group of investors, networking or pitching in a pitch competition, or even writing writing your grant out for a grant competition. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, what is the opportunity? Okay, so with the opportunity/market segment, you want to describe what is happening in your market today and where it is headed. So what this is going to do is, if you are presenting a totally new concept and project to someone that may not be familiar with your market, what you'll be doing is you will be providing information that they may or may not have. And so you don't want to assume that they know everything, because they may not, even if they are a seasoned expert, okay? So there may be things that you might know that they might not know. So you want to make sure that you are going to express whether it is your opportunity or the market. And so when I say opportunity, right, you want to go into detail on what is it that you are doing? Where is the opportunity, right? And we'll go into a little bit more detail later with an example pitch, but you want to tell people, okay, what we used to do when I pitched in the hair care industry, I would say something to the tune of, the hair care industry is a $500 billion industry, right? So that introduces the market. And that leads me into my next point. When you're introducing your market and you're talking about the market, you want to talk about the size of the market and how big your company, brand, product could be. Now, depending upon if you're writing a sponsorship letter or a fundraising letter or whatever, you can use your discernment on how much information you want to give. And so let's say if you are creating an event, okay, and you're looking for sponsorships for this event. So you might say something like, and let's say you're doing a fashion event, right? You might say something like, well, the fashion community is a $30 billion industry. And so we estimate that 10% of those fashion goers are interested in attending events where they can learn more about fashion, right? And so what that does, that paints a picture of how many people that you could cover or that you could give exposure to for that sponsor. And so if you have a target audience, right, amount of people that you want, you can go in and say, 10% of fashion goers of the $30 billion industry have reported spending money on attending fashion events and fashion shows. And we estimate that we're going to pull in 500 attendees for our event. And so what that does is it puts you in alignment with why they should potentially invest their dollars into you. And that's for sponsorships. And you can do the same thing. It's the same tactic if you are trying to raise money. whether that be via fundraising or through investor, or even if you're trying to get partnerships, you want to create a value and why they should be sending their dollars your way. Again, you want to give explosive facts that prove the market size. So just giving them little pansy facts, like, I don't know, like, I can't think of any pansy facts, but you want to just make sure that you're hitting with hard, good numbers. And I'm talking about numbers that are going to make people go, wow, I want to be a part of this. I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. So since we've talked about opportunity / market, and you can kind of pick which one you want to lead with, if you want to talk about the opportunity that a potential sponsor, investor, or even if you're coming from a perspective of writing a media pitch, right? So when you're writing media pitches, you want to make sure that when you are pitching to the media, they want stories that people are going to love. And so if you can give a catchy headline with an explosive fact that's going to make people go, wow, then you're more than likely to get your pitch picked up. And so you always want to talk about why you are important and what it is that you're offering, why it is important, and why they should pick you. And that's what the opportunity and market does. So the next thing you want to do is you want to talk about what problem you are solving. And typically what problem you are solving is going to pinpoint to what pain, what is the pain, what is the thorn in your potential customer's side, right? That is hindering them from living their best life in this market. And that's the reason why you're here, because obviously as a business owner or a brand or nonprofit, you are here to be a solution to someone. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. And so if you are a solution, then there most definitely has to be a problem, else they wouldn't need you and they'd be able to solve this issue on their own, or there probably wouldn't even be an issue. So you want to talk about, what is the issue? What's the problem, the pain that this market faces, and how big is it? And so that goes back, if we use my fashion example, right? And we say 10% of the 50 or $30 billion is spent on attending fashion events, right? But so you might say something to the tune, but most of them at the events that they attend, they leave unsatisfied. Or let's say you're targeting plus size women, you'll say, well, most of the plus size women that attend these fashion events don't find the clothing relatable at a size that they feel comfortable in or that they can wear. So there's going to be a reason why you have your business, why you're throwing this event, why you are fundraising for your nonprofit or for your business. There's a reason why you exist, and you want to point that out, and you want that to be extremely clear. And so then you want to talk about, how is the problem currently addressed, and why does this problem even exist? So you'll talk about if someone is already suffering in some kind of way or already has a pain, you most definitely believe that they're trying to figure out a solution to the problem. And so what you'll find out is that your solution should be faster, better, easier. And so you just want to talk about what they're doing. And so if we use my fashion event, my made up fashion event, we might say something like, I talked briefly about plus size women and not feeling comfortable at these fashion events. And you'll say, well, they're attending fashion events, but what they're really doing is they're linking up with their friends. They're going on social media. They're searching for plus size clothing. And so you'll talk about, okay, even though their needs aren't being met at the fashion events, they're figuring out other ways in which they can figure out what clothes they want to wear, or find the solution to their problem. And so then you want to talk about, why does the problem even exist? So why are they even having this issue? And you might say something to the tune of, fashion designers or fashion buyers have totally neglected the plus size market to date, right? So that'll talk about why the problem exists, okay? So again, when you talk about the problem and pain, it really just kind of tugs at someone's heartstrings. And it's like, wow, you know, especially if they're unfamiliar with your market, they may say, wow, you know what? She's right or he's right. I never thought about it in this perspective. And it'll kind of rev them up to actually want to help and be a part of the solution. And again, make this problem relatable to whoever you are pitching to. So what does that mean, right? So let's say you are pitching to, if you have a fashion event, but yet you are pitching to get a food sponsor, right? They may not have the same problem or pain as plus size women at fashion events, but you might can find some sort of way or speak to them in a way in which they can identify, right? So maybe you might want to say, you know, this is, you know, have you ever experienced your wife or your girlfriend going to the store and being frustrated when they don't have her size, right? And I just use that as an example off the top of my head, but you can find something in which whomever you are pitching to or talking to will be able to relate to what it is that you are talking about. So now to what I've been talking about for the past few slides is how will you provide the solution, okay? And so we've been talking about problem and pain, but as a business owner, brand, ministry, nonprofit, you bring the solution. And so you want to be able to effectively communicate that you are the solution, and that's why someone should invest in you. All right, so of course, by talking about the solution, you want to talk about what is your product or offering. Okay, so what is your product or offering? And that's pretty much self-explanatory. You're just going to tell people, what is it that you do? What is your product about? Just describe your product. Very simple and straightforward. Next thing you want to talk about is how does your product or offering solve the problem / pain of the customer? So this is when you go back and, you know, we talked about pain earlier. You are going to talk specifically on how your product is the solution, okay, for that pain, right? So if we talked about the fashion event, then you'll go back and say, hey, you know, excuse me, XYZ event is going to be a premier event for plus size women who love fashion. And so that's just one way, a very, very simple way in which you have talked about, you know, you have an event and it's going to be for plus size women in fashion. And of course, you can go into more detail and talk about you know, give more detail on how, on what it is, what it's going to do, right? So then you'll talk about how will this product offering improve your customer's life. And so you might use things like they'll be, you know, they'll be happier, it will make it easier for them to find fashions of their size, or whatever it is your company does, or what it is that you're doing. You're going to give a detailed description on what your product is and how will it improve customers' lives. So I'll go in and let me switch and go to a different industry. I'll go to a product maker. So let's say that you've invented a new comb that detangles hair in the process, and so with every hair strand, it's going to detangle the hair. And so you might say something like, you know, my comb is going to cut back on detangling time by 90%. Right? So what that is, we're talking about how your comb is going to give them their time back, 90% of their time back. Time is an improvement. Making something easier is an improvement. Making something more enjoyable is an improvement. So think about different ways in which giving more information is an improvement, right? So if you sell information-based products and you're going to be able to help people learn more, which is going to ultimately cut down time or help them make more money. Saving money, right, is a solution, is a big solution and a big motivator. Actually, time and money are big motivators for someone to spend their money with you, invest in you, sponsor and partner with you. And so if you're doing a presentation or you're sending over a presentation, like a PowerPoint presentation or an investor deck, and you have room, you want to include mock-ups or demo or photos in your presentation. And so if we go back to the event, if you go back to the event that we were talking about, the fictitious event, if you've held the event before, you want to put pictures in. If maybe, you know, this is your first time doing this and you don't really have any pictures, you know, you can create a demo or a mock-up, or if you, a demo or a mock-up of what it is you are offering, you know, what your product is and how it's the solution. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is who are you targeting? And so targeting means like who are your customers? Who are you serving? Who is your product, right? The solution for? Who has this pain? So again, we're talking about your customer. So who is your target customer? This is really important because a lot of times, you know, we come up with great ideas, and one of the main reasons why we're struggling to sell or to get the sponsorship or to get the funding is that we aren't targeting the right audience. We have not effectively figured out who our customer is. And so it's really important for you to know. And if we go back to the fictitious fashion event, we clearly talked about that plus size women that love fashion. And you can actually get a little bit deeper, you know, you can go into more detail, plus size women who love fashion between the ages of 30 and 45. Or you might say plus size women who love fashion between the ages of 30 and 45 that are African American and you know have an average income of $50,000 or more with 2 kids. You can go really deep, right? And that just depends on what it is that you are pitching. So whether or not, if you're just telling a brand story, then you're just going to want to say, you know, just make sure the reader fully understands, or the listener fully understands just who you're serving. You don't have to go into more detail, but if you are trying to get money for sponsorship, right, and the company is going to want to know stats on who you're serving, so that they can make sure that it's a good product market fit, and that their customer, there's some overlap between who you are serving and who they want to serve. So describe your ideal customer in a manner that people can identify and understand. And so, you know, this is pretty much self-explanatory. You don't want to be too technical in discussing your ideal customer, but you also want to make sure that the person can understand who your customer is, right? And so that means you don't want to use like a bunch of lingo and foreign words and abbreviated phrases when describing your customer, because if that person doesn't really know, and like I said, you do not want to assume that, I don't care how smart, how long this person has been in business, or how long they've been in the industry, you don't want to assume that the person who's reading or listening is on the same level of understanding that you are. So you want to make it simple but effective. Another thing you want to talk about is how you're going to find this customer, right? So this is really important, because you could talk about that you're going to bring 500 people to an event, and you could say, you know exactly who this person is and what they do and what they look like. But then you need to tell people, like, how are you going to get them? What are you going to do to bring them there? Okay, what are you going to do to get them to buy your product? Or where does your customer live? Okay, and so that comes with understanding your target audience. So you might say something like, okay, I'm going to advertise on Facebook and put up a series of Facebook ads, or I've partnered with such and such influencer, you know, who's going to help funnel customers. You just want to talk about how you are going to find this customer. I'm going to go door to door and hand out flyers, you know, or people, you know, just, I can't think of anything else, but anything that you can think of that's going to help people understand how they're going to find the customers. Also, can you prove that your customer is willing to pay for your solution? Like, what proof do you have that your customer is going to actually buy your product? Okay. What proof do you have that your customer is actually going to come to the event? And so you already started telling that story in the beginning when you talked about how big the opportunity or how big the market is. Okay. And so and what they're actually spending money on. So you might have to do a little bit more detail, but if you can find a competitor, and we'll talk about that in a little bit later, in which they're already spending money, but you're better, right? So if they're already attending another event, or if they're already using a comb that's similar to yours but not as good, or the event is not as fun, then you can talk about, hey, currently customers are spending $10 for a detangling comb, but my comb is $8. Or currently customers are attending fashion events and paying $50 for an admission fee, but because we're better and faster, we're going to be able to do 45. Or you can come up with different reasons and how you've identified that your customer is going to be served, and that they're going to want to spend the money with you. All right, so next we're going to talk about is what have you accomplished, aka receipts. So in the beginning, when I talked to you guys about what made me the best person or the perfect person to teach you about the perfect pitch, and I told you my accolades, and I've co-founded 3 companies, and I've pitched, and I've gotten over $500,000, right? And I've been featured in all these different publications, and I currently write for a major media property, right? So those are my receipts. And so you can choose the best way in which you need to express your receipts, depending upon what it is that you're asking for, or what it is that you need, or what it is that you are pitching for. So this is going to help ease the potential sponsors, investor, grant chooser, donation giver, that you and your company and your brand can effectively pull off what you're doing, because you've already accomplished something. So you can talk about your traction. What progress have you made so far? So even if you've just launched, you need to have had some sort of progress or something before you go asking for money and pitching for media and press. I know it's easy to want to think like, oh, I need all of this money, I need this media exposure, I need this sponsorship before I can start. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a no, and you're going to be rejected unless you can point or paint a picture as to why they should give you this startup money. And so if you've done something very similar in the past, but maybe it's not quite what you are launching or building or creating right now, you can use that as an example. If you have a huge email list that you've built surrounding the topic of whatever it is that you're pitching for, you could put that. If you have had any notable features in the news or the media or press, right, you could put that. What it is that it shows that other people care or are interested in what it is that you're doing, because nobody wants to be the first and the only one investing. And so that's why it's really important for you to have some sort of traction. And then you want to talk about like how you're growing your business. Like, what are the things that you're doing daily or often to help you grow your brand? Okay, so if you are building your social media for your brand, you want to talk about that. Let's say, you've added 100 new emails a week of people that are interested in what you're selling, or you've grown your social media pages by 1,000 every month. You want to talk about those things in a way that you're growing your business, that you're growing your exposure, and that people are actually interested in what it is that you have to offer. So who else is doing this? We're getting ready to talk about competition, and I don't care how innovative and new your idea is, you're always going to have competition, because trust and believe, if it was a problem or is a problem, they are getting their needs met somewhere, even if it's them doing it themselves because they haven't figured out a way to, or there hasn't been a product or a service that could do it for them. So then in that case, they'd be competing against themselves. So there's always, always, always somebody or some way they are getting their needs met. And so that leads into competition. So who else is serving your market and how? And so you'll talk about, I talked about earlier how in the plus size fashion event that I've created, I talked about how they are going to fashion events. And so you might want to talk about, currently they're attending fashion events, but these events catered to sizes 2 to 8. Right. And so that's an example of sharing who else is serving your market and how. And so if we go back to the comb, we'll say something like, there are tons of comb makers, and you might list out a few. Goody, I don't know what else, other comb makers, but you might want to even list out a few. And so, and you can talk about where they're being served. So currently, Goody and XYZ comb, the customers can buy them in just about any store and online. And then you want to talk about, what is your competitive advantage? And so we talked briefly about that when we talked about the solution. And so you're going to reiterate again and talk about what is your competitive advantage. So are you easier, right? Are you faster? Are you stronger? Are you smarter? What makes it such that someone should stop what they're currently doing and follow you and purchase from you? And of course, how is your solution different? What makes you unique? If you're talking about the comb, we talked about how it reduces breakage by or time detangling, or was it breakage? Time detangling by 90%, right? And so you'll say, hey, women are getting their time back from doing their hair just by using this comb. And when the traditional method might take 30 minutes to detangle, women are detangling their hair in 5 minutes or less. And so that's talking about the solution and why you are different than them going to a Goody. Or you also, if you have like some sort of patented technology, some sort of infused exotic oils that secrete, that help the hair glide more smoothly, you want to talk about that as well. But you also want to make sure that you are getting across how your solution is different. Again, are you cheaper? Are you better? Are you faster than your competition? Um, that's why you decided to start or do or launch, because you felt that there was a need in the market and you believe that you were the one to fill it. So you want to talk about that. How much does this cost? I know that's the golden question, right? So people want to know, how much does it cost? Like, what are you selling this for? So that goes into talking about the business model, which is, what does this cost? I mean, this could be as simple as if you're talking about an event, or if you're talking about your comb, just listing out the price. So tickets are $49.99, or the comb retails for $12. That's pretty self-explanatory. Then you want to talk about, how is this thing going to make money? Now that actually is the big question, right? And so especially if someone is investing in you, they are not investing in your hobby. They're investing in you, and they want to know that their investment is going to help you get towards sustainability. It's going to help you get the resources to be able to sustain what it is, launch or develop, or what it is you're asking for the money for. And so if we're talking about from a media or a pitch perspective, people just want to know that, like, if you're selling something, that, you know, it's going to like make money. And you can choose to, if you're doing a media pitch, you can choose to leave this section out if you don't feel comfortable disclosing that. But most certainly, if you're doing a sponsorship letter or an investor letter or fundraising pitch, that you want to make sure that you're always going to include how this is going to make money. So this is for really specific. You don't have to use this. If you are, only if you are seeking money and funding and investing is when you'll use something like this, or sponsorship. And you might not even need this. You can kind of use your discernment, your discretion on whether or not you want to give this information, but definitely for investors. And even some pitch competitions if they ask for it. So how much does it cost? How much does it cost to acquire customers? And if you've ever watched Shark Tank, that's usually like one of the magic questions that they always ask. And so they'll say, oh, you know, I'm selling this item for 15 bucks. And then he'll say, well, it costs $14 to make. I mean, that's a horrible investment. Why would anybody want to sponsor? Why would anybody want to partner? Why would anybody want to invest in your idea if you haven't even figured out how to scale it in such that it's not so expensive? So people want to know, again, how much does it cost to acquire customers? What is your customer acquisition cost? And so you want to make sure that you're able to articulate an answer to that. And again, like I said, this information is not necessarily needed for a media pitch. How much cash will you make from customers over their lifetime value? And so this is probably more specific towards partnerships and investors, things that are going to be a more long-term relationship, right? So they want to know how much money could you make off of one customer? And so if you're doing something like, for example, the comb, right? Let's just say, you know, what did I say? It was like $10. What you could do, excuse me. Let's just say I said it was like $10, right? But you know, it wears out just a little bit, and so maybe they're gonna lose it or buy another one. So maybe, you know, you probably estimate that they'll buy two, right? So now the annual to a year, right? So now the annual value of the customer is 20 bucks. And then if you perceive that they will use this comb for the next 30 years, then you can say something like, you know, the lifetime value, estimated value is $60. So then what's the monthly cost breakdown per unit, right? So if you think that this person is gonna buy, and this one's pretty much for if you're doing something monthly with the customer, but you can still break that down, right? So let's say every 6 months they're buying a comb, and the comb is $10. So that means we're $5 have been spent in every 6 months, right? So you can kind of break that down to like monthly revenue or monthly costs, or you can just, you know, because we're only talking about a simple comb here, right? You can just say, you know, every 6 months they'll buy a new comb. Ooh, excuse me. So what are you asking for? And so this is going to talk about the overall like goal. So whether it's you are seeking funding, right, and you're raising money from investors, or if you are simply, you know, looking for the grant, you're applying for a $20,000 grant, or if you are selling to a customer, right, and you want them to purchase, or if you are printing, you've submitted to some press and media articles, and your ultimate goal is for people to sign up for your email list, or your ultimate goal is for people to visit your website. You have to include an ask. So the ask is very simple, is what is it that you want the reader, listener to do? So if, like I talked about, if you were on you wanted to get media and press, and your main goal was for exposure, you just wanted them to go look at your website, then you'll put, hey, you know, visit www.lookatmywebsite.com. But if you're standing in front of an investor meeting and you're looking to raise $50,000 for your brand, you want to go ahead and clear it out. Like, hey, today I'm raising $50,000 for my brand. And so you just, this is pretty much, you do not want to have any pitch without an ask outside of an elevator pitch, because that's supposed to be really short. And what do you need? You know, you can, what do you need from that person or that business that you're pitching to, right? So let's say if you're seeking for sponsorship and you have asked, maybe you're asking them for uh, um, to donate their food services, right? So you want to be specific and say, hey, I'm looking for you to donate 30 plates for XYZ. If you are writing a media article, right, and you're like, hey, I want you to go over and visit my website, and then you'll say, you know, and hey, feel free to give me feedback or feel free to connect with me on social media. You'll give them like a follow-up, like what it is that you need, or you might say something like, hey, I'm trying to expose my website to 100,000 visitors this month. So, you know, by asking and telling people what you need, you make it easier for people to support or figure out if they even want to support you. Then you want to talk about what will you do with what they are asking. Okay, so if you're asking for email addresses on the media, and really with this one, you can use your discernment, discretion, if you even want to include this point in there. But most definitely, if you are asking for money, sponsorship, or any or partnership or anything, because people want to know, if I give you $30,000, if I give you $50,000, what are you going to do with it? What is it going to go towards? So they want to know next how you are getting it done. So how are you going to host this event, right? How in the world are you going to build this company? How are you going to launch this product? How are you going to make sure that whatever money, funding, uh, media, press you get, how is it going to benefit them? So you do that by talking about your team. So you want to talk about who is on your team helping you. And it's okay, depending upon what it is that you're doing, if you're a solopreneur, but you know, even if you're able to like have some volunteers, if you can show that you have a solid team in place that's helping you execute on the vision, it does help ease the mind of your investor, sponsor, etc., what have you, that you're not going to be the only one working on the project and could lead to burnout and possible non-completion of the project. So then you want to end it well, right? So you want to have an amazing dynamic closing that makes you memorable. And so we'll talk about what you need to do with that. So I recommend that you just end with a tagline, something that you want them to remember you by, and also let them know how you can contact them. And some people in the closing, they go back and restate their elevator pitch. And you know, that might be as simple as saying, hey, my name is Chanel Martin. As the CEO of such and such, such and such, I want to thank you. Remember that such and such helps such and such do such and such. And you can learn more about me. You can follow up after this meeting. You can email me at XYZ. You can visit my website. You can follow me on social media. You know, you want to let people know where they can contact you. And also, of course, include your email address, website, phone number, address, whatever it is that you feel led to share, and that's going to help people, put people in the best position to support you and contact you about supporting you. All right. So We've pretty much gone through all of the sections, all of the key uh, points and parts of making a good pitch. And like I talked about earlier, you know, some of these you're going to keep, some of those you're going to take out depending upon how much information and depending upon your guidelines. You know, if you're entering a pitch competition, they may give you a list of things to include in your pitch. And so you can use this as a guide for helping yourself explain those things. But we are getting ready to do a review just to make sure that you got it. And if you need to go back or even pause on the next screen, feel free to pause right here as I go through each point. Um, just so that you can remember. You can also type this up and make it a template, maybe in a Google Doc, so that you can begin to write out each section or type in each section for your business, and then you'll always have it, and then you can later add to it or convert it over to a presentation. And so the first thing we talked about was introduction. And so I showed you how to introduce yourself and how you can use that as your elevator pitch. The next thing we talked about was the opportunity slash market, and we gave a good overview of what the opportunity was, how big the market was. Remember, we talked about giving very explosive facts that would really make someone interested in perk up. I also mentioned not to assume that whoever is watching, listening, reading, that they know about your target, that they know about your market. You want to talk to them as if they are completely clueless. Don't insult their intelligence, of course, but just make sure that you give enough facts so that even the most uninformed person in the room or the uninformed reader would be able to understand your market. Then the next thing you want to do is identify problem slash pain points. You know, what is the problem and what pain are they having, such that they probably need you. And then, which leads right into the solution. You want to talk about how your event, how your product, how your book, how your ministry, how your nonprofit is going to be a solution to the problem or pain that they're experiencing. Next, you want to talk about your target audience. So who are you targeting, right? You know, what's your ideal customer? If you haven't completed a customer avatar, I totally recommend you can Google customer avatar, and you can even begin to test and see if this is your ideal customer, right? Also, in targeting. This goes the same for if you're targeting a small business and you want them to partner or sponsor you, right? You just need to really understand what it is that they need, who they are, and why you are the person for them to do business with. Also, you know, let's talk about traction, right? Point number 6. What else have you done? You know, is if you have any proof, any receipts, right, that you aren't a fraud and that you are the person, or that your company is the company that can pull this off. Um, Next, you know, who else is doing this and why you're better? So we talked about competition, and so then you'll list exactly who is currently meeting their needs, but with the introduction of your product, or with XYZ with your product, why you are better. Um, Also, you want to talk about costs. You know, if you're selling a book, you'll talk about, hey, my book is $15. And then you'll talk about, depending upon what it is that you're pitching, if you're pitching for a sponsorship, or if you're pitching for investors, just talking about how you're going to make the money to make it worthwhile, right? Especially investors, or if you are taking a loan, people want to know that you're going to make their money back. What is your specific ask? So do you want people to go to your website? Do you want people to purchase from you? Do you want to get email address, right? So you want to always have a goal in mind. And then point number 11, who is helping you? So that's when you're going to really want to brag on your team. And finally, close. And we talked about just closing with a unique headline. So here are some optional points, and you can kind of use these as you need and as you see fit. They're totally not mandatory. And actually, really a few points inside of when we go back here, and the template aren't mandatory, if you're only pitching for media and press. So for example, how will it make money? When you're pitching for media and press about your brand, you don't want to, like, it's none of their business how they'll make money, right? So that would be something that that you would take out. And so similarly with these optional points, you might want to talk about a roadmap. You might want to give the future of your business. So you've talked about the things that you've done. You're talking about the things that you want to do, which is why you're looking for the funding or the partnership or the sponsor, right? But you also can, maybe interested in putting together a roadmap. So where's your business headed? What does the future hold for your brand? And it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, what are some things that you hope to accomplish in the future? Also, overall objective and goals. And this can be done like right after you do your elevator pitch. If you are doing a live presentation, you might want to say, hey, talk about what you are doing and why you are doing it, so that it can kind of prime people up as to what they can expect from you over the course of listening or reading or what have you, your presentation. So I know I've said a mouthful, but I also wasn't going to leave you hanging without giving you an example. And so this particular example is another fictitious company. I think I called it Beauty Defined, right? And I'm going to take you through the process of what it looks like to actually write out each section. So we start with the introduction. Hello, my name is Jane Doe, and I'm the co-founder of Beauty Defined. Beauty Defined helps women age 35 and up look and feel 15 years younger with our anti-aging time reversal skin formula in about an hour or less. And so I use the same concepts that we talked about at the beginning when we were making our introduction, and I did that here. And so as you can hear, you clearly understand, who she is, what she does, what her product is, and who it's for, and what it helps them do. So then we're going to go into the opportunity market. The anti-aging beauty industry is about a $10 trillion industry. Women on average spend up to $100 monthly on skincare products alone. Did you know that 7 out of 10 women are always searching for the miracle product that gives them flawless and ageless skin as quick as possible? An example of the problem. Ladies, think about how frustrating it is searching for the best products for your skin and then have to wait 6 to 12 weeks just to see results. Guys, how often have you witnessed your girlfriend's wife, sister, friend complain about smile lines and bags under their eyes and saggy skin? So I did 2 things with this problem, right? I talked about what the problem and what the pain was, but I also made it relatable, right? Because maybe I'm pitching to people and there are going to be men and women reading it or looking at it or listening to it. And so I tried not to alienate in one particular gender, because I knew that men and women both listening to it could benefit them in some capacity. So next we're going to go into solution. Wouldn't it be awesome to not hear her complain anymore? Beauty Defined is the answer. Our patented anti-aging skin formula delivers nearly instant and permanent results with continued lifetime usage. And so I just told a little bit, why my product was the solution. And what it does is, the problem was women have to wait 6 to 12 weeks. And what Beauty Defined does is that it delivers instant, permanent results. And so you were able to make the connection between the product/pain, with Beauty Defined being the solution. So we're going to go into the customer. Our product is perfect for every woman that desires to look as great as she did 15 years ago. It's also excellent for those women who are spending an average $1,200 annually on product solutions that just don't work. Take a stroll down your beauty aisle at your favorite retailer, and you will see tons of women checking out anti-aging products. And I'm sure we all know somebody that could use some Beauty Defined right now. And so I just kind of talked about the customer and what they're doing and where you can find them, right? So you can find them at your favorite retailers, and they're down the beauty aisle. But I also kind of added some humor at the end just to kind of break up the monotony. Traction. So we talked about traction, and here's an example. We've sent over 1,000 women samples of our product, and 80% saw results in as little as an hour. Our email and Facebook accounts are filled with customer success stories from women who we've helped boost their self-confidence by over 50%. We've proven that our product works and that women everywhere are craving it. So this is pretty much giving you an overview of like some of their amazing accomplishments, right? And if they can do it here, then they can definitely do it again with additional money or whatever, or partnership or support or whatever it is that you're pitching for. Competition. Oh, actually, so I have a slight error. Did I do this? Okay, there's a slight error on this page, but I can talk through it with you guys. What I was supposed to say was if you go down your beauty aisle, you'll see tons of products that are catered to anti-aging, but none of them work as good as Beauty Defined. And so I probably listed like Oil of Olay, Shea Moisture, and different other ones. So cost/business model. Beauty Defined retails for $75 for a 30-day supply. Members can purchase from our website, and they will be enrolled in our subscription program with refills every month. So that already just broke down like that you're going to get $75 a month from the customers. Our results are permanent with continued use, and we anticipate lifetime customers. So we are aiming to take over a mere 1% of the skincare market, which gives us a potential to make $10 billion. Best of all, we're saving women everywhere 25% annually on skincare purchases. And so I pretty much, in one paragraph, told you how much it costs. I told you how much money we're going to spend. I also did a breakdown on what do we anticipate our lifetime value customer is going to be, because we anticipate they're going to be a customer for life. Now, of course, this is a very fictitious company and business model. You know, so with yours, you're definitely going to want to be more realistic. And again, like I mentioned earlier, you are going to pick and choose exactly how much information to give away depending upon if it's pitching for media versus sending an investor a deck or a presentation. All right, so then this leads to the ads. And so for this particular pitch, this one was, we were raising funding. This fictitious company is raising money to expand different parts of their business. And so we go into that and I say, we are raising $10 million to help fulfill orders from women begging to purchase our product. Beauty Defined's Research and Development Center will be upgraded to handle all order fulfillment, and additional staff will be hired as needed. So not only do I talk about what it is I'm looking for, so I'm looking for $10 million, but I also tell you what I'm going to do with it. So I've already created a demand by telling you, like, you know, we need more money because we need to hire staff, and we need to upgrade our R&D facility to handle order fulfillment because we're on back order, because we have all these women begging to purchase our product. And so that paints a picture as to you know, what it is that you need, in the investor or person who's donating the funds or whatever can decide how they can help you with with their resources. Also, again, like I said, this one was for specifically pitching, but let's say if you were if you're writing out a sponsorship letter, then if you felt comfortable, you can tell people, hey, you know, with your $2,000 gold sponsor, we'll be able to do XYZ. It'll pay for the food. It'll blah, 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 blah. Like, let people know what you're going to do with their money that they're giving you. And if you are pitching for media and press and you want the reader to do a specific thing, then you're going to go into the ask and say, hey, you know, if you enjoyed this article, check out my website. I have great information on there. So team, if anyone can make this product a household name, Beauty Defined can, and has the team to make it happen. Our two co-founders, my partner and I, have a PhD in chemical engineering from Harvard and an MD from Yale, and we've been in the skincare industry for a combined total of 30 years. We've also hired the smartest and the best doctors and engineers from around the world. And so, this fictitious company is raising funding and they're asking for $10 million, which is a whole lot of money. So, they wanted to paint that they are the one to deliver upon what they're asking for by showing you that they have chemical engineering degrees and medical doctor degrees, right? So that really does make you perk up and think, okay, I can see why they would lead this up. If you're doing something where you might not need to divulge all that information, you can just say, hey, it's just me, or my interns, or what have you. Just depends on what you feel comfortable giving information, but you most definitely always want to talk about like who's helping you and who's on your team. In closing, let's make women love their skin they're in with Beauty Defined. You can learn more about our product and request a sample by visiting our website at beautydefined.com. And so I left with like a little tagline, which is let's help women love the skin they're in with Beauty Defined. But I also, gave them, again, where they could find me by visiting beautydefined.com. And that's pretty much it. I hope that you have enjoyed Pitch Perfect. And if you really enjoyed this course, I invite you to visit my website at www.chanelemartin.com to learn more about other amazing opportunities and resources that I may have for you in other trainings. So I appreciate your support. I appreciate your purpose. And also follow me on social media. I'm on social media at Chanel Ebony. That's ChanelEbone on all platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, Periscope, and whatever else people are using these days. And connect with me. I'd love to answer questions. And if you have my email address, you can also email me at chanel@chanelebony.com. That's Chanel, CHANEL, at Chanel Ebony, CHANELEBONE.com. Again, thank you for your time, and I pray that this online training blessed you as much as it has blessed me. Have a wonderful and productive rest of your day.